I'm Gianna Franco, and this is The Minute. 1,500 VTA employees on strike this morning in Santa Clara County. Bus and light rail services are not running, but paratransit services are still available. Employees are calling for more money and better workplace conditions. The VTA says it's made a fair offer. OpenAI opening its new San Francisco headquarters this afternoon. The new office is located in Mission Bay. It's touting state-of-the-art facilities for research and engineering. The company has around 2,000 employees across its San Francisco offices. And elected officials and senior administrators in San Jose could get pay raises based on their job performance. Mayor Matt Mahan is introducing the proposal today. He says the goal is to improve accountability and transparency when it comes to issues like homelessness and public safety. The Bay Area's only primetime newscasts at 8 and 9 p.m. on Pix Plus 44, Cable 12.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
We're looking at a beautiful start to the week all across the Bay Area, but the same could not be said for the entirety of California. As you can see, that swirling area of low pressure, that's a storm system that will be bringing some widespread rain to far southern California into Mexico. It's going to be completely missing us here in the Bay Area, though. So don't expect any rain today or into tomorrow. So do keep that in mind. It is going to be pretty quiet out there to kick off the week, but that means any outdoor activities, do so today, do so tomorrow while it is still quiet, because again, these quiet and warm conditions will not last forever. Even with a little bit more cloud coverage to start off our morning, nothing too crazy as that low pressure system passes off well to our south. Tomorrow, there will be a bit more sunshine, but you notice even with sunnier skies, there's an approaching cold front, and that approaching cold front is going to bring us a cool down and more widespread rain as we step out into Wednesday. And that rainy weather is only going to continue as we step out into the later parts of the upcoming week. So that active weather pattern is going to stick around again. That first wave on Wednesday is just the first wave. We are going to be seeing another storm system late Thursday and into Friday, and then potentially another one into this upcoming weekend of weather ahead of us. So a lot of active weather is on the way, and that does mean that we are going to be seeing quite a lot of rainfall. How much rain can you expect? Again, it's not going to be anything too crazy, but there is the slight potential for flooding with anywhere from 1 to 2 inches, maybe 2 to 4 in those highest elevations. All things we'll be keeping a very close eye on over the next 7 days. And over the next 7 days, you can very clearly see where that active weather begins to pick up. Quiet today, quiet tomorrow. Again, make sure you grab your umbrella Wednesday. You are going to need it, and keep it handy through the later parts of the week and next weekend as that active weather pattern is going to stick around.
A low-income housing cooperative for people living with HIV and AIDS fighting to stay open in San Francisco. According to the co-op's board of directors, the property owners are threatening to terminate their lease 5 years before it's set to expire in 2030. Our Amanda Harry spoke to people who live there about their efforts to stay open.
The bright colors, music, and dancing made the energy at El Rio Sunday afternoon light and fun. But the reason people were there was heavy. Marty's Place, a housing cooperative for low-income people living with HIV and AIDS, is trying to raise money for a legal fight to stay open.
When it was founded by Father Richard Purcell, it was a place for people with AIDS to die. Now it's a place for people with HIV to live.
Paul Aguilar moved into Marty's Place in November of 2021, when he was at his lowest.
I struggle to even wake up in the mornings.
He was 58 years old, living with HIV, and suddenly found himself homeless. He says he didn't know what he was going to do until he visited his friend and president of Marty's Place, Michael Rupe.
And he's like, "You're exactly where you need to be." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm at Marty's Place." He goes, "That's where you need to be." And so it was from that conversation that I ended up moving into Marty's Place shortly thereafter.
Members of Marty's Place say the housing cooperative is facing attempted eviction by Mission Action, a nonprofit that owns the property. They say Mission Action is trying to end their lease 5 years early, leaving the people living there with nowhere to go and ending what is believed to be the only co-housing for people living with HIV or AIDS in the country. Marty's Place changed Aguilar's life.
I ended up getting this position at the San Francisco AIDS Foundation with their Aging Services Department. Being somebody who was supposed to die at 30 years old, you know, achieving 58 was a freaking miracle, but to be able to work with the community was amazing.
It's hard for Aguilar to think about the possibility of losing his home.
The thought of that is stifling, that at now soon to be 62 years old to be homeless again.
Co-founder, president of the board of directors, and resident Michael Rupe says they've been trying to come to an agreement with Mission Action for years.
We had made a proposal to purchase the property. We suspect that they've indicated they want to sell the property, and what better way to sell it? And we've invited them to work with us. Unfortunately, they broke that good faith and tried to leverage us in court.
Rupe says they have a model that works and can be used to help other low-income communities. He believes it needs to be protected, and Aguilar agrees.
I never plan to leave. They're going to have to find a way to carry me up the stairs to my room.
We have reached out to the property owners at Mission Action for comment, but have yet to hear back. Well, this is the last week the Upper Grade Highway will be open to cars. That stretch of the road is slated to close for good this Friday to make way for a coastal park. Cars will no longer be allowed to drive between Lincoln Avenue and Slope Boulevard. Voters in November approved closing the 2-mile stretch of the Grade Highway.
I think it's about time that San Francisco prioritizes its people and the health of its people over cars. I think it's a beautiful space, and I get to enjoy it when it's closed, and I'm really looking forward to it.
But those living in the Sunset neighborhood are worried about traffic moving into their neighborhoods. One disabled senior is concerned how the closure will impact her ability to leave her home.
If I tried to cross the street, I can't run out of the way. It makes it very dangerous. You know, it's just, you have heavy traffic, you're going to have more accidents.
Well, part of the Great Highway closed back in 2020 to give residents more recreational space during the pandemic. The park is set to open on April 12th. The city is also asking the community to help name the park. Well, 1,500 VTA employees are now on strike, leaving Santa Clara County riders looking for another way to get around. The Valley Transit Authority is projecting more than 100,000 riders will be affected. Paratransit service will continue, but regular bus and light rail service has stopped. Veronica Macias was at the VTA headquarters this morning.
On this Monday morning, some 1,500 VTA workers decided to get on the picket line here and begin their strike, impacting tens of thousands of riders. We're talking about workers, students, having to get an alternate way to work and school using carpooling and rideshare. Now, these workers out here say they overwhelmingly came to an agreement on this strike last month, with 96% approving it. Union workers that we talked to tell us they really enjoy their jobs, feeling like they're doing a public service. Many of them saying that they're counselors and parents on the buses and the rail lines. However, they feel they're not getting the respect they deserve from VTA. Some of their sticking points: fair wages, dignified working conditions, and respect for transit workers, they say. The primary reason, though, they have decided to go on strike, I'm told, is for a lack of negotiation over being at-will employees.
We received a call yesterday asking for a sit-down. They, hinted that we were possibly going to have a open dialogue and maybe come to some sort of a compromise. But 5 minutes into the conversation, they essentially turned the tables on us and, asked us if we had something to present to them.
As for the response from VTA, they say they've offered several increases throughout the past 3 years, maintaining a competitive package for these transit workers, also saying they're the second highest paid in the Bay Area.
Well, still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, impacts from new tariffs here at home, the sacrifices by local farmers to keep prices affordable.
We're eating the cost. The farmers are eating the cost.
Plus, postal trucks in Oakland targeted by taggers. Is this an act of vandalism or art?
A reflection of crime, I think that's what it looks like.
How you gonna tell us that a postal service truck?
And honoring a hero to San Francisco's Chinatown community, the plan to pay tribute to the legendary Bruce Lee.
Beautiful start to the week all across the Bay Area. Please get out and enjoy yourself because it is not going to be lasting much longer than tomorrow. Today will be the warmest day of the week, even with a little bit more cloud coverage. High 60s for our inland locations, mid 60s even closer to the coast. A bit of a cool down tomorrow, even with sunnier skies before the widespread rain and wind arrives Wednesday. And that's just the first in a series of storms that's going to continue to bring active weather later this week. Keep that umbrella handy.
China's retaliatory tariffs taking effect today. American farmers worry escalating trade tensions could make it harder to sell their products. Meantime, President Trump's sweeping tariffs on Canada and Mexico are already trickling down to local grocers. While Trump delayed tariffs on some goods from those countries until April 2nd, he threatened new tariffs on Canadian lumber and dairy products on Friday. Yesterday, the president was asked if he was worried about a recession.
I think the tariffs are going to be the greatest thing we've ever done as a country. It's going to make our country rich again. We have many companies, as you know, auto companies are opening up plants now, and 4 or 5 announced already, but many more are coming. All I know is this: we're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you, you just watch. We're going to have jobs, we're going to have open factories, it's going to be great.
Well, here in the Bay Area, farmers are already bracing for the effects. Our Lauren Toms went to a farmer's market in San Francisco and spoke with some who say they are actually eating the costs to keep local produce accessible.
We got mandarins, grapefruits, oranges, pretty much a little bit of everything. And I feel like come stone fruit season, grape season, that's when we're going to feel it.
At the heart of the city farmers market, prices have to stay low. It services a neighborhood with limited access to affordable fresh produce, especially for low-income families. But with supply costs soaring, farmers like Joel Aguayo are stuck in the middle.
I feel like once the prices go up, they're never going to come back down. And it's not like we can jump the price on produce because then the people won't be able to afford it. You know what I mean? It's kind of messed up for them. We're eating the cost. The farmers are eating the cost.
At Castellanos Farm, it's planting season, but Joel says tariffs and supply chain disruptions have already driven materials costs up by at least 30% for essentials like drip tape and metal stakes that are often imported from China, Canada, and Mexico, which have been targets of a trade war.
We're not complaining, we're just talking about it. We have to buy it. There's no other way around it.
For now, he says he's keeping their prices low and eating the cost with hopes the market will stabilize. But for other vendors like Oriel Castillo, they have no choice but to hike up their prices.
Maybe you can see in my table, the prices is very, very low. I think I'm the only one, but I need to go up now. We need to do that. But because even at home, we got nervous. We are nervous right now. Everyone, everybody.
It's an impossible choice in an uncertain market. Professor of Agriculture Economics Dan Sumner of UC Davis says it's still too early to tell what the true impact to local farmers and farmers markets will be.
The worst thing right now is the uncertainty of it. And it's certainly too early to say prices have gone up because of the tariffs. What we do know, and there's no debate about this among economists, putting on tariffs between integrated economies raises the cost for consumers and or producers, and the economy as a whole loses.
For Joel, he doesn't have the time to worry about the politics of it all.
We're too busy working at the farm and working at the farmers market to even know what's going on in politics. We don't know. Hopefully it turns out for the best. Hopefully the economy, the customers have more money in the long run, and we're able to jump the price up a little bit. Even like 50 cents helps out a lot.
And if costs keep climbing, farmers say it's not just their profits at risk, but affordable produce for all.
South Bay residents got a chance to ask Congressman Sam Liccardo questions at a town hall in Mountain View. The House Democrat says he's working to fight the Trump administration in any way he can. A South Bay resident says she was happy to see Liccardo's resistance. She's unhappy with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency.
A government is not a business. A government takes care of its 365 million people. People who work for the government do so because they want to support democracy. They can make a whole lot of money outside in the private sector. But if you add 60,000 people to the unemployment rolls, we're moving toward a recession.
Well, this was the second weekend Liccardo has held a town hall. Well, you've probably heard the saying, neither snow nor rain nor heat can stop the mail. Well, in Oakland, they're having to deal with another issue entirely, graffiti. Many of the U.S. Postal Service vehicles in Oakland are covered in spray paint. Dahlin has more on the rampant problem and why there won't likely be a solution anytime soon.
In many parts of Oakland, the postal workers are rolling up in vans and trucks like this. You can't even see the USPS logo.
I don't know if this was my mailman or is this a hip-hop man? What is?
It's the mailman and his delivery truck. But that's the question a lot of Oakland residents are asking. What is this?
I think it's dangerous for the postal workers and the community because you can't see who's in here. You don't know that this is a government vehicle at all.
Jasmine Bassard worries people will shoot at these vans driving in certain neighborhoods, thinking it's someone from a rival gang. Jasmine works near the downtown post office and walks by the vans almost daily.
And I'm sure it's embarrassing for the U.S. postal workers to have to drive these things around the city.
Oakland residents say not just a few, but many USPS vans and trucks are covered by graffiti. While they've noticed them for at least a year, they say the problem has gotten worse in recent months, and they're seeing them throughout the city.
It's just not good at all. It doesn't look good. And it doesn't look good for our city.
Somebody's truck that they just bought, from the junkyard or somewhere.
But some call it urban art.
I don't really see too much of a problem there. The trucks seem to be able to make their deliveries on time. I mean, they just have a little art on the side.
Now, would you consider that as art, though?
I mean, art's subjective.
I think there's a lot more other things to worry about now than some colors on a mail truck.
People tag the windows, even the tires.
It's bad if you cover the window, that's bad form. You got to respect the driver's safety.
A USPS spokesperson says they clean them up as quickly as they can. Quote, however, as part of our responsibility to maintain reliable service to our customers, we must carefully balance these efforts with ensuring that our vehicles remain in circulation and available for delivering the nation's mail. The spokesperson declined to answer questions like how many vehicles are tagged and are they dealing with this problem outside of Oakland. One of the unions representing the Oakland postal workers tells me they're severely understaffed and they don't have enough workers to remove the graffiti. They also say this is only happening to the vehicles that are parked overnight on city streets. They don't have enough parking lots for the trucks. But Jasmine says this is not acceptable.
A reflection of crime, I think that's what it looks like.
Some workers tell me with the Trump administration cutting spending and laying people off, it's unlikely they'll get extra money or people to clean up these trucks and vans.
The U.S. Postal Service is highlighting two everyday heroes for their dedication. In San Leandro, letter carriers Celia Yasso and Mario Sandoval have each worked with the USPS for 40 years. The agency threw them a party Friday and honored the two with special 40-year pins. And one of the carriers told us she's excited to retire.
I have a grandson, so he's a 2-year-old, and I'm going to spend some time with him and go hiking, biking. Hopefully I can go back to soccer.
Well, she says she might even visit some of her favorite customers after turning in her mail keys. Well, still ahead, meet the man fighting to bring one of San Francisco's native sons back home. The latest on a project to build a statue for Bruce Lee.
A statue is the highest form of honor that you can bestow upon someone.
We are going to be seeing a lot of rain through the end of the week, and you want to be knowing how much rain can we expect, because we actually do need it. We've seen some dry time, and we are starting to get a little bit lower, especially in our South Bay communities. Abnormally dry conditions right now. We need some rain. Anywhere from 1 to 2 inches is likely all the way through Thursday and into Friday, potentially 2 to 4 inches in those highest elevations. Again, not only bringing us rain, but also bringing us a significant cool down. So this is San Jose. Enjoy the upper 60s today and tomorrow, because again, they are not going to last long, and it is going to stay pretty cool over the later parts of the upcoming week and into this upcoming weekend. Temperatures getting back down to below average, upper 50s to low 60s. So the fact that we're going to be near 70 degrees today, even with a little bit more cloud coverage, it's going to be lovely out there. So I hope you can get out today. If not today, get out tomorrow, because you will need to grab that umbrella Wednesday and keep it handy through the late parts of the week and into the weekend. Not a rain all day, every day scenario, but definitely a more active weather pattern picking up starting later this week. Back to you.
Well, if he were still alive today, Bruce Lee would be 84 years old. He was born in San Francisco's Chinatown on November 27th, 1940. He went on to become a legend in the world of martial arts, movies from Enter the Dragon to Game of Death. Now, community leaders want to immortalize and honor him. Ryan Yamamoto shares the plans for a statue in Lee's old neighborhood.
Jeff Chin, who was born in San Francisco's Chinatown, owns one of the largest collections of Bruce Lee memorabilia, including a replica of the yellow jumpsuit from the Game of Death.
I consider it one of his most famous suits because it was worn in other movies such as Kill Bill.
But for Chin, Bruce Lee is more than just a movie star. He is a hero who he believes should be honored by the city of San Francisco, much like Hong Kong, Eastern Europe, and Los Angeles, who have all built statues of the martial arts icon.
A statue is the highest form of honor that you can bestow upon someone.
And his wish became one step closer to reality when community leaders held a press conference at the Chinese Historical Society of America Museum to announce the first steps to raise $250,000 to build a statue of Bruce Lee in Chinatown.
I think that this statue has an ability to bring a self-directed artwork that stakes a claim for local people in Chinatown to believe in Portsmouth Square as it's changing in the future.
The announcement sparking a moment for Chin.
So, from my heart, thank you, Bruce. This statue is for you. Thank you.
The emotion coming from a time when Chin, as a young boy, was bullied for being Chinese. His only escape, watching Bruce Lee on the silver screen, giving him confidence to see someone larger than life that looked like him.
Never met him, but he actually helped me out. And till my dying day, I will do my best to pay him back in any way that I can.
A gift he hopes will bring San Francisco's native son back home.
Well, organizers say they are now trying to commission an artist to sculpt the bronze statue. They already have $50,000 worth of seed money from the Rose Pot Community Fund. They hope to unveil the statue of Bruce Lee in Portsmouth Square in 3 to 5 years. Well, coming up in our next half hour on CBS News Bay Area, an abandoned building in the middle of downtown San Jose that's been a magnet for trouble for years.
It's just a total waste of space and resources for it to go empty.
Why the city says the owners have broken $1 million promise. Plus, legacy businesses in downtown San Francisco struggling to bring back business post-COVID. How some longtime restaurants are adapting to bring in a different kind of crowd.
You know, spicy karaoke. And that's the most deliciousness. Like you have a few drinks, you can karaoke.
I'm Gianna Franco, and this is The Minute. 1,500 VTA employees on strike this morning in Santa Clara County. Bus and light rail services are not running, but paratransit services are still available. Employees are calling for more money and better workplace conditions. The VTA says it's made a fair offer. OpenAI opening its new San Francisco headquarters this afternoon. The new office is located in Mission Bay. It's touting state-of-the-art facilities for research and engineering. The company has around 2,000 employees across its San Francisco offices. And a 3-story home caught fire last night in San Francisco. Firefighters had to cut up the roof for ventilation after the fire spread to the 3rd floor. The fire broke out on 20th Street by DeHaro Street and Potrero Hill. No word yet on any injuries. The Bay Area's only primetime newscast at 8 and 9 p.m. on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
We're looking at a beautiful start to the week all across the Bay Area, but the same could not be said for the entirety of California. As you can see, that swirling area of low pressure, that's a storm system that will be bringing some widespread rain to far southern California into Mexico. It's going to be completely missing us here in the Bay Area, though. So don't expect any rain today or into tomorrow. So do keep that in mind. It is going to be pretty quiet out there to kick off the week, but that means any outdoor activities, do so today, do so tomorrow while it is still quiet, because again, these quiet and warm conditions will not last forever. Even with a little bit more cloud coverage to start off our morning, nothing too crazy as that low pressure system passes off well to our south. Tomorrow, there will be a bit more sunshine, but you notice even with sunnier skies, there's an approaching cold front, and that approaching cold front is going to bring us a cool down and more widespread rain as we step out into Wednesday. And that rainy weather is only going to continue as we step out into the later parts of the upcoming week. So that active weather pattern is going to stick around. Again, that first wave on Wednesday is just the first wave. We are going to be seeing another storm system late Thursday and into Friday, and then potentially another one into this upcoming weekend of weather ahead of us. So a lot of active weather is on the way, and that does mean that we are going to be seeing quite a lot of rainfall. How much rain can you expect? Again, it's not going to be anything too crazy, but there is the slight potential for flooding with anywhere from 1 to 2 inches, maybe 2 to 4 in those highest elevations. All things we'll be keeping a very close eye on over the next 7 days. And over the next 7 days, you can very clearly see where that active weather begins to pick up. Quiet today, quiet tomorrow. Again, make sure you grab your umbrella Wednesday. You are going to need it, and keep it handy through the later parts of the week and next weekend as that active weather pattern is going to stick around.
An empty, boarded-up building left to deteriorate in downtown San Jose. City officials say all it's been doing is attracting trouble, and the owners just won't do anything about it. The building sits on the corner of East Santa Clara and North 2nd Street. Now, as Devin Feely explains, the city is taking legal action.
The building has sat vacant and neglected in the heart of downtown San Jose, at the intersection of Santa Clara and 2nd Street, for nearly 2 decades. An empty building full of potential to the eyes of Lorraine Zeller.
It's just a total waste of space and resources for it to go empty.
According to the city, the building is unlikely to reach its full potential under the current owners. In paperwork filed with the court by the city attorney's office, the building is described as vacant, blighted, and a public nuisance.
Even if the building is not going to be rented out, it needs to be properly maintained. Failing to do that drags down the whole community. It harms the neighboring small businesses. It makes people less likely to want to be in downtown.
Mayor Matt Mahan says the building has not had a tenant since 2008, and the city has had to board it up itself more than a dozen times to prevent break-ins and keep the homeless from camping out there. According to the complaint, in 2006, the city's redevelopment agency loaned the owners $1.35 million to, quote, rehabilitate, improve, and lease the building. An unkept promise, according to the mayor, nearly 2 decades later.
It isn't fair to the broader community to have to live with empty, blighted buildings for years on end. I'm done with it. The community's done with it. There has to be accountability.
The city is seeking nearly $1 million still unpaid on the original loan, as well as the cost of the upkeep and maintenance of the building over the years. Lorraine says when she looks at the building, she sees the cost of years of inaction.
My strong preference is for it to be used as affordable housing.
Well, according to the complaint, this is a family-owned business owned by James and Grace EU and their son David. We reached out to them at their offices in San Jose and in Fremont for comment. So far, we have not heard back. Well, there's been a notable exodus of large and small businesses in San Francisco in recent years, but today we learned about a business that's moving in. The mayor's office announced that B Patisserie will be moving into the former Miller & Lux space in Union Square. Miller & Lux is one of 2 Union Square cafes recently closed by celebrity chef Tyler Florence, even though the city had provided him financial help to get them up and running. Businesses we spoke to say 5 years after the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, downtown hasn't fully rebounded. Now, Dalin shows us how some businesses are pivoting and what the city is doing to help.
New Delhi is the oldest Indian restaurant and the only Indian legacy business in San Francisco. But the owner says this gem is in danger of closing.
This is the time I would love everybody to support us. Because once we are gone, you can just say, oh, I wish I came and did. Too late. Too late.
Chef and owner Ranjan Day says downtown San Francisco still hasn't recovered from remote work and public safety concerns.
January, February has been one of the slowest in 36 years.
New Delhi is located 2 blocks away from Union Square and 1 block away from Market Street. He says most nights are very slow. It's partly why nearby Macy's and Bloomingdale's are closing. Nordstrom already left.
It is really scary. I have to dip into all my savings. They're all gone. I have to take personal loans left, right, and center to make sure I pay the bills, take care of my staff.
The owner of City Sightseeing San Francisco hop-on, hop-off buses tells me they're missing a big percentage of the Asian tourists, especially from China. This tourism company says they experienced the slowest winter in years. So fewer visitors and locals. That's forced Ranjan to pivot by adding live entertainment on top of great food to attract customers.
You know, spicy karaoke. And that's the most deliciousness. Like you have a few drinks, you can karaoke with a dish of curry out of tune.
That's right. Karaoke on every Tuesday and Wednesday nights to draw the younger crowds. The entertainment concept is working great just a block away at John's Grill, also a legacy business over 100 years old.
We have bounced all the way back. We have 3 levels rocking every night. We have live jazz music 7 days a week.
Live jazz every night. The owner of John's Grill, John Constant Jr., says that's helped them not only to survive, but thrive in this challenging environment. State Senator Scott Wiener is also working on the state level and with the mayor to change the law and allow more businesses to serve alcohol in the downtown area.
We're working on turning Ellis Street into an entertainment zone.
Ranjan welcomes any solution that can bring people back to the area.
I feel we are going to overcome it, but we just need a little help. As a community, we can band together, we can help each other, we can overcome it.
Ranjan is hoping longtime customers who haven't been here in a while will return for some delicious Indian food. Now, they haven't done lunch in a while because they don't have enough customers during the day, but they're open for dinner every night starting at 5.
Well, it's an entirely different story over in Healdsburg. The city is taking action to prevent some big businesses from setting up shop in the downtown area. John Ramos has more on the chain reaction.
It's a tough time to be in business these days, but the city of Healdsburg likes its small town feel and is working to protect it, even if it means keeping some pretty familiar names from coming into town. The city of Brentwood celebrated the opening of its first Costco, and it felt like the entire town showed up to welcome it. The giant retailer probably wouldn't get the same reception in Healdsburg. In fact, a lot of people got pretty freaked out in May when this small men's clothing store showed up in the downtown area.
As far as I know, this is the first time we've ever had a chain store per se come in, and it scared people.
So Mayor Evelyn Mitchell says the town began working on an ordinance to ban chain stores and restaurants known as formula businesses from the downtown. They've already been prohibited in the commercial spaces lining the city's downtown plaza.
The plaza is where people go, right? I mean, it's really unique. We call it the Healdsburg's living room.
And by a unanimous vote, the City Council approved an ordinance to extend the chain store ban to a larger portion of downtown. They also banned big box stores like Home Depot and Walmart from the town entirely. Those are already available in the town of Windsor, just up the road, so Healdsburg figures it can afford to forego some sales tax revenue to maintain its identity. And it's hard to find anyone who's too upset about it.
I just think that when you're local and you have the big guys coming in, it starts changing the feeling of it. It changes the feeling of it.
You go to a mall and it has exactly the same shops all over the world. And we don't have that here. We have mostly local shops with different flavor, and people come to Healdsburg and they know that that's what they're going to find. So for us, we really like it that way.
Christine Bryan owns 101, a woman's boutique store on the plaza. She makes trips every year to Europe to purchase clothing not found anywhere else in the Bay Area.
There's not a store like this anywhere else, and that's what brings people to Healdsburg, is stores that are just unlike anything you see everywhere.
And you don't want to lose that.
I do not want to lose that. I do not want Saks. I do not want Banana Republic. I do not want those stores here.
But the mayor says there are practical concerns as well. Not every business is right on the plaza, and she's worried about what could happen to those locations if there's a severe downturn in the economy.
The concern is that they don't get any foot traffic beyond the plaza. What happens if there's an empty storefront and you've got these restrictions, and so then it remains empty? So that's my concern still. That there's going to be down the road maybe some downturn in the economy, downturn in tourism. All of those things could happen to us, and they have.
She voted for the ordinance with a provision that exceptions could be made if elected officials decide it's in the best interests of the city. And while keeping Healdsburg unique is a bedrock principle right now, it's not exactly written in stone.
The good news about an ordinance, I guess, though, is this is what I've been told, and we can change it. Right? If it doesn't work, we could also change the ordinance.
Well, coming up next, she is making history as San Francisco's first Chinese American poet laureate. What she says sharing stories is in her DNA.
Trying to figure out how the poet and the word figures into this climate.
We're looking at a beautiful start to the week all across the Bay Area. Please get out and enjoy yourself because it is not going to be lasting much longer than tomorrow. Today will be the warmest day of the week, even with a little bit more cloud coverage. High 60s for our inland locations, mid 60s even closer to the coast. A bit of a cool down tomorrow, even with sunnier skies, before the widespread rain and wind arrives Wednesday. And that's just the first in a series of storms that's going to continue to bring active weather later this week. Keep that umbrella handy.
Born in Chinatown, a second-generation daughter of Chinese immigrants is making history in San Francisco. Lorena Ayub introduces us to the city's first Chinese-American poet laureate.
Every word is a reflection of her heritage and hope. Jenny Lim, San Francisco's 9th poet laureate, says she's honored to be the first Chinese-American to receive the title.
The oral tradition was very keen in my childhood because my mother, she spoke Chinese. She didn't read or write any English.
That's why Lim is so passionate about the intersection of arts and education. As she reads from her home overlooking the Bay Bridge, the first-generation San Franciscan feels a sense of responsibility.
Trying to figure out how the poet and the word figures into this climate. I am American.
Lim is referring to the polarizing nature of politics, but it's not discouraging her from gathering communities of diverse beliefs together.
I want to bring live music and poetry events to the neighborhoods, through the branch libraries, at pop-up parks, parks all over the city, and of course Union Square.
Her pup Rumi, named after the Persian poet, keeps her company as she continues to create prose with her new title.
I've always been mesmerized by language and how language is music to my ears, and that's I hear my poetry as music.
A bridge of lyrical symphonies for the Bay Area and beyond.
Well, March is Women's History and Empowerment Month, and today we are highlighting a nonprofit building connections through business. Sisters Carla and Kenia say they got great advice for starting up their own beauty shop in San Jose. They were part of a program from Prosperity Labs meant to motivate and empower women entrepreneurs. The sisters say they learned how to balance what can seem like overwhelming responsibilities for women, especially after the pandemic.
The Me program taught us that you have to be okay personally in order for your business to grow.
A holistic approach, how to keep yourself healthier, how to balance your work life.
Well, you can see the full story from our Len Ramirez right here at 5 on our evening edition. Well, coming up, it's a picture-perfect day to remember the global movement that's building a sketching community in San Francisco.
What's it like sketching with 80 other people?
I love it. It's my favorite thing to do.
we are going to be seeing a lot of rain through the end of the week, and you want to be knowing how much rain can we expect, because we actually do need it. We've seen some dry time, and we are starting to get a little bit lower, especially in our South Bay communities. Abnormally dry conditions right now. We need some rain. Anywhere from 1 to 2 inches is likely all the way through Thursday and into Friday, potentially 2 to 4 inches in those highest elevations. Again, not only bringing us rain, but also bringing us a significant cool down. So this is San Jose. Enjoy the upper 60s today and tomorrow, because again, they are not going to last long, and it is going to stay pretty cool over the later parts of the upcoming week and into this upcoming weekend. Temperatures getting back down to below average, upper 50s to low 60s. So the fact that we're going to be near 70 degrees today, even with a little bit more cloud coverage, it's going to be lovely out there. So I hope you can get out today. If not today, get out tomorrow, because you will need to grab that umbrella Wednesday and keep it handy through the late parts of the week and into the weekend. Not a rain all day, every day scenario, but definitely a more active weather pattern picking up starting later this week. Back to you.
Well, we've all seen flash mobs for dancing, for singing, even for playing music, but have you ever seen one for sketching? Ari Dihad takes us into a new movement sweeping the globe and drawing quite the crowd in San Francisco.
Eileen Goldenberg doesn't need much to create a little magic. Just a folding chair, a sketchbook, and a good spot for inspiration.
It's just so peaceful and relaxing, and it's just wonderful.
That spot is under the Grand Dome at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco. So picture perfect, it almost paints itself. At first, it's just her pen, her moment. Then, things start to get sketchy. Out of nowhere, someone pulls out a chair and a pad. Then another, and another. Soon, the entire pavilion is overtaken, like a flash mob with pencils. What's it like sketching with 80 other people?
I love it. It's my favorite thing to do.
Welcome to urban sketching, a global movement turning sidewalks into studios, parks into pop-up galleries, and everyday people into illustrators.
I doodled as a child for many, many years.
A college counselor once told Matt Wills he'd never make it as an artist, so he became a graphic designer. But these days, he's back to the drawing board.
I take it on trips. I take it to cafes. I take it to all of our meetups.
It all started in 2008, when Seattle journalist Gabriel Campanario started posting his sketches on Flickr. For reasons no one can explain, it caught on. Now, there are over 500 chapters in more than 70 countries. The #1 rule, draw only from location, never from memory. So what am I doing?
All right, so look at that shape right there. Just pick out one thing.
Goldenberg says the best part is anyone can do it.
Show them the painting. There you go.
Well, almost anyone. After a few hours of doodling, scribbling, and making their mark, it's time for the throwdown. This is when sketchers lay their drawings on the ground for everyone to see.
Get out, you express yourself. Even you drew today.
And if you're still not sure, just pencil it in and draw your own conclusions.
Well, for the first time in 2 years, the Bay Area will be treated to the sight of a total lunar eclipse. The Earth will be directly between the sun and moon Thursday night. Totality begins at 11:26 p.m. The center of the eclipse will be a minute before midnight, which might be late for some, but one thing about lunar eclipses, you can't miss them.
You want to see a meteor shower, you've got to find some dark spot with the right view of the sky. If you want a solar eclipse, you've got to go to the right place, part of the world. But with a lunar eclipse, if it's visible in your area, as long as you have a clear sky and a view, you can enjoy it.
And for us here in the Bay Area, that's a big if, since we're in for a series of storms this week. We'll see. All right, well, thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Gianna Franco. We'll be right back with your first alert forecast and a look at your top stories.
money saving. Dollar Jill's here to tell us what it means for you.
Clearly delish.
So what's on the menu today?
Clearly, CBS Mornings weekdays at 7 on CBS.
What happens when the world's best journalists